Top of the morning to you. It's me, Joe, and I got Jaxson with me. Say hi, bud.
Hello.
Yeah, and as you can tell by the title of the video, me and Jackson are actually going to be talking about the plans for my next film. Now, at the time of making this very video, it is very late. It is 12:25 in the morning for me on June 18th. And I have not started production on it yet, but me and Jackson are going to discuss some ideas for the film whenever that time tends to come. So, uh, and me and Jackson we're talking a little bit about it on the Discord call, but I kind of thought we should make a little video about it. So, and me and Jackson were discussing a new villain that I brought in, so that I plan to add into the film, and his name is Joe Axis. Now that is a combination of Joe X, but it's also a combination of the Joe X character from the first film and Charlie from the second film, and it's basically like what would you say it would be, Jackson? Like a Golden Freddy type of style from Five Nights at Freddy's?
Yeah, pretty much. That was what he would be.
Yeah, um because I did write a, little backstory for this villain, and this villain, uh
I don't think you should.
you know,
I'm not sure if you should give away too much of the backstory, though.
well, basically, basically it just says basically the whole backstory just tells how Joe X was not how Joe Exis was created. Um, basically, uh, well, Jackson, you try and basically from what I told you earlier, you try and explain to the audience how you think this Joe Exis character would be created, since I can't give away too much of the backstory.
Okay, so to put it in to put it in simple terms, this character is basically, how do I describe it? From what I can see, it's kind of like so if you've ever watched the movie Wreck-It Ralph, you guys, you know the character Penelope. It's kind of like that, but except it's the villain, and also there's two people inside of one. So it's kind of like Golden Freddy from FNAF, and it's also kind of like a hybrid as well. If you think about it in a way, it's kind of like a hybrid as well. So this character, um, I'm trying to find a way to describe this without giving it away. But yeah, basically, this character has the personality combinations between Charlie and Joe X, and they're gonna clash. And I think they're gonna clash very interestingly in this movie. Overall, also this character is very, very important in our next film. Like very, very important. In fact, it is pretty much the entire plot of the movie is pretty much based around this villain. Like it's gonna be the most important villain of the entire series, no doubt.
Yeah, and me and Jackson and I think me and Jackson were discussing possible endings that I could do for this film, and possible scenes that I could do with Jackson's characters. Like basically, and me and Jackson are planning to talk about it now. So, one of the scenes that will feature Isaac, that will feature Jackson's character Isaac, that we were planning on doing,
Yeah.
was having like basically when Joe found out that I think now, just keep in mind, this is the beta stage. We don't exactly know what's going to happen in the film, because honestly I have not made a whole script for this yet. But basically, the idea for what we could possibly have, like what we could possibly do, is that after Joe find like the main character Joe finds out that both villains from the two movies can't like that both villains from the two movies came back alive, but they're in a different body now, and then basically just turns into a whole argument between Joe and Isaac.
Yeah, and this scene is also going to be very pivotal in the movie because it does kind of give off a weird feeling that something is not right now, because in previous films, or in the previous film where Joe and Isaac had a talk, and from what we've seen so far, Joe and Isaac do not have a hostile relationship. So for them to be hostile in this scenario would be very interesting and a little weird and a little off-putting.
Yeah, and then Jaxson also suggested to add a scene that I don't know if I, which could be a possibility, but uh, me and Jaxson did discuss that I could potentially add a scene to where Isaac dies somehow, which I don't know if like we should. I don't know if that's gonna be a like if I do plan on doing that. I don't know how Isaac will die, but explain that whole bit like in some detail, Jaxson.
Okay, so to explain how Isaac would die is that, okay, so actually in this movie, it would, so in my idea, Isaac would actually go to battle with Joe because they need reinforcements. Joe can't do this one alone because this villain is much more powerful than the others. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to be very specific about it, but he is a lot more powerful than the other villains that have previously been in the clone movies. So while they're battling, Isaac gets hit by, or Isaac gets like, I don't know how to describe it. I don't want to give away it exactly, but he would get hit by something, and it would end up in him basically getting extremely damaged to the point where his engine would barely be working, and he would be he would be all destroyed and stuff, and he would be barely hanging on to life. And then he'd probably tell Joe his final words there before he died on the battlefield. Now, I don't know what he would get hit by specifically. Maybe he would get hit by Joe Exis. Maybe Joe Exis would hit him, like just punch him or something, or he would hit him with something.
Or maybe there could be like a massive, or maybe there could be like a massive explosion that could cause Isaac to possibly die instantly. We don't know. We can't. I'm not gonna spoil everything, but those are just the possibilities that we could do. We could either have. We could either have Isaac get hit by Joe X. We could either have Isaac basically just have something like happen to him internally that could kill him, or we could have or Isaac would end up dying instantly from an explosion, and even though he might not get his final words, it'd still be tragic. So those
Exactly.
are the three possible things that we could do for my film
Wait,
that what.
actually, Joe, you know what? I kind of like your idea about not even giving him a chance to have last words. That might be more impactful, actually, because every movie has the character getting in their last words. But it would be more impactful, in my opinion, because Joe and Isaac, like the last time they actually like had a conversation, was them being angry at each other, and that would be even more tragic if they didn't even get to have nice final words, and their final words to each other were more or less hostile, and they were still hostile with each other while the battle was going on. So they never really got good final words in.
Yeah,
Arguably even more tragic in my mind. So I think I like your idea actually.
yeah, and then
Um,
yeah, and it's like you know, but and then with the ending, it's like now me and Jaxson had a lot of you know discussion about ideas that we could do for the ending. Now I don't know how many possible endings there could be, but there's three I am choosing. but so I don't know how many there would be, but um uh I think the that one idea is that we could either have like that Joe goes insane and potentially does like, but that potentially like gains like, you know, basically like that and basically remembers what Isaac told him, like basically what he said to I like what Isaac said to Joe in the first film, basically to snap his fingers. But in this bit, it's like this one would be more impactful, basically like with like the like more energy being like casted into Joe's arm, which then after Joe snaps, it like has like basically wipes out everyone except for the except for Joe. That could happen, and then if that happens, we could possibly have like Joe like, you know, probably like die too, like probably like, you know, all hurt, and then like probably like die after that, and then like then there's it's just the world's just empty, or we could just have like what would be what ending would you like say what idea would you give for this ending, Jackson? Like what possible ending do you suggest? Like just give your own ending that you want to have would put for this idea.
Okay, so here is my entire opinion on what I think the ending should be. I think the ending should be after he kills Joe Exis, that he kind of looks around him. So now he's finally calmed down a little bit and he just looks around him. And that's kind of the moment he truly realizes that he's alone and now he has nothing. And he just kind of like sits down and looks at everything. And then he really questions his life decisions after this. And now, and I think the movie should end on like an outward panning shot of him just sitting on the ground and sad with no one else left besides himself. I think that would be a sad ending, but it would also fit with the movie's theme of like he has to live with what he created.
Yeah, and it's like it kind of fits in with my idea, except Joe doesn't really die though, but he just like it's kind of like it kind of fits in with like Avengers Endgame a little bit, because when like like right after Tony snaps, Thanos like looks around him like seeing what he did, and then he sits down, but instead of like a good ending for Thanos, he just fades away. And you know, maybe it's like, or and maybe another idea for what we could do is maybe we could have like uh um maybe it's like it could all potentially, like after Joe X you know, is finally defeated, maybe maybe there could be like a little plot twist and have it, and maybe it could all be like uh basically a kind of like a dream, sort of. I'm doing air quotes because let's say if like we like if it let's say the only reason I'm doing air quotes is because it's like it could be like a dream, but it actually happened, and it could like just be like, you know, something that like that some reason that like that maybe Joe after Joe X's death, if that after Joe X's death by somehow after Joe X just dies, then maybe we could have like it like basically have uh like maybe we could have like Joe like basically doing what Jackson said, but then it like turns into like, you know, Joe like, you know, just like sleeping again, and then like just fades into like Joe's like to have like Joe like sleeping while we're just having nightmares, and then he gets woken up by his own dad, and realizes that like maybe he brought everybody back that in his own life, but they're all the same, like they're basically the same age. And then maybe like as soon as Joe leaves the shot, then maybe it could have like a little like maybe like there could be like a ghost that's like in the like if it's like showing the bed there, it could be like maybe we have like a ghost just like glitch out like right and like the right by one of Joe's nightstands, and it could possibly potentially show that it all probably happened, but at like but probably not in the way that Joe intended, or it could have happened in another reality, basically like showing that there's like a multiverse or something like that.
That could be cool, but I also think if we go for the dream angle, it can also just be like. I also feel like it could kind of feel anticlimactic for it to all just be kind of a dream. I feel like if you want to go for like the if you want to go for that angle of it being like, I don't know, I feel like it would work better personally if it was more like maybe I don't mind, honestly, I don't mind the idea of an alternate being like an alternate reality or whatnot, but I also feel like, again, it would also just feel a little it would feel a little weird for it to be in to be that. In my opinion, I think the best ending like possible if you want to go for that angle is to have it be you know to have it be like Joe is so in his own head that he tries to make it a dream, or like he tries to believe it's a dream, but then when he wakes up he realizes that everything that happened actually happened. Like he makes himself delusional to the fact that, you know, everything has collapsed for him. Like there's nothing left for him. But then eventually he realizes that nothing's ever going to be the same now. He has no friends. There's no clones anymore. He's just all alone. And I think that would be I think that would be a cool ending to go for the dream angle. So it wasn't actually a dream, but he was trying to make it he was trying to pretend in his own mind that it was actually a dream, but it wasn't. It
Ah, okay.
was like a
And
double plot twist.
yeah, double plot twist. Trying to, it's like basically like him like making it trying to be a dream, but it wasn't actually a dream. So that's actually really, really cool just to think about. And uh maybe, but uh like maybe for like the beginning part of the film, like for how the film would potentially start, because as we know from the second film, Joe actually like blew his whistle and actually left the world that he was in and went onto the island of Sodor, basically that another world that he created for him to try and uh you know fix himself. And maybe what we could do is just probably like, and like he said, that in that one bit that the journey from where he was, that the journey from here, from the real world to that world, was getting bumpier and bumpier. And maybe since there's like magic related to this and there's like CGI, there'd be like the CGI portion of it. Maybe what I could do is just uh have like a bunch of the Thomas character, like maybe like have like a fair like after like the year has passed or something, like however long it's been since Joe left. Maybe what we could do is just have like all like a bunch of the engines just at like the big station or whatever, just saying goodbye to Joe, but until like like all saying goodbye to Joe, and then like Joe leaving, and then uh basically them all being concerned about him. That I might do that, but I don't know. But it could,
Oh,
what?
that could actually work really well for the movie. Not only does it continue from where the second film ended, like right off from where the second film ended, but it also brings, I think it also makes sense that something like, so Joe has been gone for a year, as you said, right?
Yeah, because the second film so the first half of the film takes place in like after the 5 year, like, so the first film takes place in 2355. Then the first half of the second film takes place in 2360. Second half of the film takes place in 2362. So honestly, the third film will take place in 2363. So basically, that's basically the timeline sense of it.
Okay, okay. So I think it would make a lot of sense if you did that, because it would make sense that something like Joe Exis was able to be created within that year span, like, because Joe wasn't there and he would have no control over what happened in this universe. People would just be able to do whatever they want to. And as you said, some idiot probably did something stupid and created this monstrosity while you were gone, because they knew they were going to be able to get away with it. But now that you're back, you know, Joe Exis, you know,
Has now been created, and there's been a chance, and since I've been gone for that year, for that long year, there's been a that someone created um the new villain, and without me knowing about it, and then basically, and then how and then okay, so how would you suggest that, like, what ideas would you suggest that Joe finds out that Joe Exis, while being controlled by the two villains, how would you suggest that Joe finds out that both villains that he killed in the first two films are have returned, but in a new form and much more dangerous? How would you suggest Joe find that out?
well, I actually have two. Well, I have one idea actually for that. Well, actually maybe two. But the second one might be a bit. I feel like the first
Just,
idea
just,
I have might
just,
work better.
just say the two ideas, and I'll see what we can go off of with that.
Okay, my first idea would be in line with the first and second movie, sort of. So the first and second movies had a portion where he would watch the news, right? So
Yeah.
I think it would be a good idea if he found it out from the news. Like, the news was talking about it, and he found out that way. Like, he wanted to get caught up on what was going on with everything, and he ended up finding out about that on the news. I think that'd be a good idea. I also think either Thomas or Isaac could tell him, and maybe he's checking in on his friends, and maybe they could tell him what's going on.
Ooh, I like both of those ideas. Oh my god, I like both of those ideas. And you know what? And maybe it's like, so you know that character Hank that basically that in the second film that talked to Joe, and that one in like one portion of, like, after the 2 years, and then confronted Charlie at some point during the second film. You know that character Hank.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
maybe
I know that character.
what we could do is maybe we could bring Hank back, like bring back Hank somehow. That maybe we could have like we could bring back Hank into the film, and just, like, you know maybe uh because in the first film it's like Hank was in like Hank was alive during the events of the first film, but we just don't know about Hank until the second film. But what I was thinking is that maybe we could have Hank show up in like the second film, and then uh maybe we could either have it be some random clone, like Joe find out like sometime later, on who like made the on who brought Joe Exodus to life, and I was thinking we could either have like either Hank be the one who created the Joe Exodus clone, or have Hank be associated with the guy that made it, and then we have Joe and Hank just like argue about it, and then they both pull their, and then maybe we could have them both like pull their guns out on each other, and then uh maybe like we could do like basically remake that like the bury the hatchet scene with that, but uh or maybe we could just have it with like Joe and Hank, or like Joe and another clone that, or something, and then we could just have it like be like the bury the hatchet scene. We could have like Joe and Hank like aim their guns at each other, and then uh and then or Joe and another clone. I don't know for sure what we're gonna do, but then they argue with their guns drawn at each other, and uh, then maybe, and then just like then like Hank or the random clone like tries to distract Joe while he tries to shoot at him, but then their gun just doesn't work, and then they just throw it at Joe, and then they just escape. You know, like
Ooh, I like that idea, especially because wasn't Hank the one that was like not the most intelligent in the last one, if I'm not mistaken?
yeah, because if you remember, it's like if you heard in the second film, Hank didn't even know what a clone autopsy was. You could hear him in the distance asking what the hell it was or a clone autopsy was, and then we didn't really see much of Hank, but you could just definitely tell that Hank wasn't really like willing to do his job, like the job that he was tasked to do from that Joe assigned him, and then basically it's just but it could either be a random clone too that basically argues with Joe about like bringing Joe Exodus to life.
Yeah, yeah, I think that works really well, especially because, as I said, Hank is not the most intelligent, and also he's been kind of put down by it's well more or less indicated that he's been put down by quite a few people, obviously including the leader guy from the second movie. So it's possible that anger, that resentment towards other people led him to do something bad. You know, while Joe
Yeah,
was gone.
and then maybe uh and maybe what we could do is but like at some point during the film, it's like, yeah, we'll have like a news sequence that show that for Joe to find out that Joe Exodus was alive, but then maybe at some point during the film, like during the whole battle, maybe there could be a sequence where a news broadcast like basically says that maybe Joe Exodus is going rogue, and like going getting even more rogue, and then and then that Hank eventually died from Joe Exodus being rogue, and by because after being like either stabbed multiple times, shot multiple times, or basically just killed by Joe Exodus by some like natural cause or something like that.
Yeah,
And then it's just
I
like it's just I just need to find some way to have Hank like get killed off in the film, but I just don't know how I'm gonna do it though. But those are the three main ideas I could do.
ooh, you know what? I
What?
have an idea.
What?
So for Hank, okay, maybe the club, right? This whole club, well, club. It's more like, what would you call it? What is Hank a part of exactly?
Well, Hank is the base. Well, basically, what Hank in my universe would basically be a part of like this sort of some sort of like community that's just like trying to take down like you know trying to. It's basically kind of like if you I don't know if you've seen Detroit Become Human gameplay videos, but he's basically kind of like some sort of detective that's just like not good at his job, but he like basically he's not good at his job and he doesn't really do what he's supposed to do, but basically he's basically like a detective kind of thing or whatever or a lieutenant or whatever.
Okay. Okay, just all right. I was just trying to make that clear. So what if like their community found out about what Hank did? Like Joe exposed him somehow and he told them and they got so mad at him and because of all his other disciplinary things that he's had in the past, on his disciplinary folder, maybe it led them to the point where they decide to kill Hank. Like they decide to execute him right on the spot by shooting him in the head or something. Or maybe even an electric chair.
Ooh, that's actually a good idea too. So, it's like that could be a really good idea too. And then yeah, so this film is like I just got like a oh Jesus, okay. I know this is not related to the film, but I would legit just thought I saw something out of the corner of my eye from out here. But back to the topic. So mainly this film is just gonna be like just chaotic. Like I just got a bunch of ideas that I could easily just use from this video, and honestly, uh, it's like uh, you know, like honestly, I just feel like this would be really great, like for the third film. It's the Attack of the Mad Clones Part Two. Yes, it's like basically like it's like basically everyone against everybody, uh but I don't really think well actually I don't really think part two would be really be like a good thing for it. I don't know if I should do part two or if even if it's like a part two to the original, but I don't know like what the title would really suit this film because like I just want to make like a good like thing for it so that way we can like a good title for it so that way I can make the intro sequence for it.
Yeah, yeah. I do like that idea. But
That
I think I have a
ever
good idea for a title, like a
o-
finale title
okay,
or
what's
whatever a
what
third title
okay,
should be.
what would the title what do you suggest the title be called?
So, unless you're going to make another movie out of this, I think this would be a good title. Attack of the Mad Clones finale, I think would be a good title.
Uh hmm. Maybe, let me just um
Or it could be Attack of the Mad Clones, The End of War. I think that could be a good title too.
ooh, the end of war. Okay. Who?
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, if this is going to be like the official end of like the whole war, even if there is another movie, but like this would be the official end of the war. You know what I mean? End of
yeah,
war.
yeah, and it's like okay, it's like uh, hmm, yeah, it's like either that and then maybe uh, it's like who maybe so I'm it's like I want to use like one of the parts of the title from like the Avengers titles, but I don't want to get sued. So it's like I was thinking like Attack of the Mad Clones Doomsday or something like that. It's like
Ooh.
but it's like a it's like a it's like there's they're making the Avengers Doomsday film, but I don't know. I think Attack of the Mad Clones Doomsday would fit perfectly, and it's not really taking anything from the Avengers or anything like that.
Well, technically, I don't even think they could copyright that because there have been other films that use the Doomsday name in the past. Like I'm pretty sure there's literally a movie called Doomsday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so I think Attack of the Mad Clones Doomsday would be a good title for it. And yeah, and then maybe if I decide to make a fourth film out of this, which I don't think that's gonna be, I don't know if that's gonna be possible, but I don't know if I'm really gonna make a fourth film out of this. But if I do, then maybe it could be like if it's like a if it's like the final bit, like the final movie related to this, then it could be called Attack of the Mad Clones Endgame or something like that.
Yeah.
So, Attack of the Mad Clones Doomsday. They're like that's gonna be attack. Oh, okay. I gotta Attack of the Mad Clones Doomsday.
So I guess we officially announced the name of the movie right here, guys. So look
Yeah,
forward to Attack of the Mad Clones Doomsday.
yeah. I don't know when the release date is, but as of now, I don't know when the release date's gonna be. I'm just gonna, you know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna work on the film and get it done. And once I get it done, I'll see what I have going on, and then if I don't have, if I'm not, and then after this video, I don't think I'm gonna say anything about the film until the movie is finished, because like the first two films I had a deadline for when I wanted the films done. So maybe for this film I'm not going to say when, I'm not going to create a deadline for it, but what I'm going to do is probably just make the movie when I can, and you know and then just announce the release date when when I can, and then just make multiple, make like a trailer for it, and then have it come out like a week before the movie, and then once the film comes out, then I'll be good. So now I have some ideas for what I could do for the film.
Ooh, and honestly, and Joe, I was thinking about something. Maybe for
What's
like
that?
promotional material for the movie, not like trailers in particular, but like for promotional material, we can do like little funny skits with like maybe Thomas, you, Isaac, and then maybe you could do some with like the clones or something, like little funny thing we could do, maybe like a skit or something. That'd be cool.
Yeah, and yeah,
Something
maybe,
promotional
yeah,
for the movie.
yeah, yeah. We'll definitely do that. So I'll definitely take your word up on that. But anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if and but as of right now, I don't have any ideas for when the movie's gonna be released. But
Oh wait.
what?
Oh wait, we had Joe. Sorry to interrupt you, but we do have one more thing that we do need to mention. For everyone watching this video.
Okay, go ahead.
So there is going to be a narrator in this movie, but we do not have anyone to voice the narrator yet. So, yeah. So, if any of you guys maybe want to, well, I don't know if any of you, I don't know if any of you guys have Joe Discord, but like if any of our friends are watching this, if you don't mind, if you don't mind, maybe you could be the narrator. But we do have a specific voice that we want the narrator to have, or a specific tone we want the narrator to have. So if you do have it, then we might consider you.
Yeah. Anyways, like I said, thank you guys so much for watching, and Jaxson is gonna be well, I'm considering I either Jackson's I think for all 3 films, Jackson's been my like assistant director for all this because I tell him all this, uh but Jackson, if you got anything else to say, just say it now and then we can end the recording.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you did, subscribe and like and hit that notification bell. And just remember, Godspeed to you all, and Godspeed to America, and stay safe out there. It's a dangerous world, and don't create any cloning machines or anything, because we do not want to start a real clone war.
Yeah. Anyways, goodbye guys, and I'll see
Yep.
you guys in the next video.
Bye,
Peace out, y'all.
everybody.